everyone, Steph here from thegoodride.com, and we are here taking a look at these Nidecker boots. This is the Altai women's Nidecker boot. These are in a size 7.5. These are a stiff flexing women's boot that come with a dual Boa lace system. So I tested these a few different days out on the snow in a couple different snow conditions. And I tested them on my Union Legacy bindings and also my Rossignol Diva bindings. And the first thing that I noticed with these boots right out of the box, I wore them brand new out of the box. As a fresh boot out of the box, they were pretty comfortable. I felt like the flex was there. They didn't feel extremely stiff, and so that's nice because the break-in period is going to be shorter than getting a boot that takes like a couple weeks to break in. So that part was really cool. The other thing that I noticed right away is it has a more abrupt ankle angle here. I think it's 8 degrees of ankle angle, so it's slightly tilted forward. Think about it as having like forward lean on a high back. 8-degree angle creates a little bit more of a responsive boot, and also I noticed that it created more heel hold for me, an ankle hold around there, because my ankle was a little bit more in this angle as opposed to straight up. And so it helped with like heel lift and responsiveness in turns and stuff like that. Let's check out some of the features. We have the dual Boa system here. And so the side Boa, that tightens up around here. And then the top Boa, that tightens the top part right here. So I like that it is dual zone. I feel like that's almost necessary for these types of Boa systems. The single Boa system just doesn't seem to work right as far as like how tight it gets around your foot. So this is awesome because you can custom tighten around the bottom of your foot and the top of the boot. Pretty easy and fluid to use overall. So look at the inside here. The inside liner just has kind of the standard cinch system right here that goes down, and on top of the cinch system for the liner you get these 2 Velcro wings that the Velcro is pretty tight, and I like that the sides of the cuff on this come like all the way around the front, so it actually does do something. Keeps that liner a little bit more in place than if they weren't there, and it won't slide. It'll keep the tongue from kind of shifting and sliding around as you ride. Here's a look at the liner, the inside of the liner. You can see it does have a little bit of that added molding to go around the ankles. And then on the inside, it also has a pretty abrupt, it's hard to tell, but it has some ankle hold on the inside as well. The inside here, I like this inner harness. So when you tighten down the liner, you're actually being tightened to the boot and not just the liner itself. So I like that part. I like when the inner systems kind of work together. Yeah, so tightening up the boot's pretty easy. You put the Velcro where you need it. Then you cinch down this inner liner right there. And then you just tighten the bows down. So fairly easy to get on and off. It's not a ton of work, and the system seems to work well. I didn't really need to tighten it down. I tightened it down a few times throughout the day, but that's just because it was a new boot, you know, and the materials were still relaxing a bit. But I have a feeling once it's locked in and kind of set, then you won't need to be doing too much tightening throughout the day. Then for the outside here, I like this back here. There's this rubber section on the back of the heel here that can help keep your heel in place in the binding. The bottom is EVA foam bottom, which has some benefits. EVA foam outer soles absorb a lot of shock and they're very lightweight. And so overall this boot is not a very heavy boot. But then the downside to that is EVA is not very grippy. So there's not a whole lot of traction. They do have a lot of shaping on the bottom of the sole, but the only actual rubber part on the bottom is on the toe here. And so it's better than nothing. It does have something. It would be nice to see a little bit more rubber throughout. Yeah, let's take a look at it in the binding. We're going to put the boot in my Legacy bindings. These are size medium binding, and these are size 7.5 women's boot. So it was a little bit open as far as like the high back to boot adjustment here. And so yeah, definitely if you rock a 0 high back angle, you're probably not going to be stoked on the forward lean of the boot. But if you use like an 8 degrees and above, then you'll probably really like it. And so it just depends on like what type of snowboarding you want to do. So I'd have to adjust that high back, but here's a look at the boot in the binding. It has a really nice fit. The toe box is pretty round. It's not super boxy. It's also somewhat like smaller profile, and so it fits really nice with all the toe straps that I've used these in. So here's a look at the boot in my Rossignol Diva binding, and you can see this binding has way more of a shaped high back, and it fits really nicely in there. If you have a 0 high back, it's gonna have a lot of like play back here, but if you have a little bit more of a forward lean type high back, it definitely fits. Throw it in an arbor binding as well. These are the Arbor Sequoias. So this is a look at the Arbor Sequoia binding. The high back is set to like 1 notch forward. The toe caps and everything and the ankle straps, they fit nice. On the toe here, they have a little bit of extra grip, which is nice because any help keeping that toe strap where it's supposed to be is always good. So overall, this is a stiffer flexing boot. I believe it's a 7 out of 10 flex. It has a more responsive, a little bit more of an aggressive ankle angle, and so would be good for a high intermediate to advanced rider or someone who's looking for a more responsive boot. This would be good for all mountain riding, free ride. Would pair well with a more responsive binding. A medium to stiff flexing binding it would pair well with. A binding that has a little bit more forward lean on it, has some good features. Pretty lightweight boot, pretty comfortable right out of the box. It has a nice flex. Even though it was stiff, I didn't feel like my ankles were in braces for the first couple runs. So that was nice. I was able to ride them right out of the box, which is great. The dual zone boas. So if you're looking for a responsive, stiffer flexing boot that has pretty decent ankle hold and you're looking for that dual boa system, this could be a good boot to check out. For the full write-up and complete review, head over to thegoodride.com.